Hey backpackers, this is Juan from Juan Backpacks, and I'm here to talk to you today about the winning gear and the losing gear on the Rae Lakes Loop that I just did a couple weeks ago in California. I did 51 miles on the Rae Lakes Loop. I know that's 10 more than the Rae Lakes Loop, but I came in through a different pass because the permits were just a little bit easier to get, and I'll make a video about that eventually. But I want to talk to you today about the winning and maybe not losing gear, but the not so great gear, the things that didn't work out on the Rae Lakes Loop while I was there. I spent 5 days, 4 nights on the Rae Lakes Loop, taking my time. So I had plenty of time with my gear in camp. And here's what I found out about the things I liked and about the things I didn't like so much. Let me start with the things that I didn't like so much first, because I just want to get kind of the negative stuff out of the way. And then we'll talk about the wonderful positive stuff after that. So first of all, the things that I didn't like, or things that didn't work out so well. First off was the camp shoes that I took. I wanted to try out the Jimmy's camp shoes. I'd seen a million ads for them online. They're just over 5 ounces for the total pair, and here they are. And so really, they were really nice sandals. They unfold, and they've got a back strap, and that goes over top of your ankle, and they've got a front adjustable strap, and obviously there's a pair of them, and they fold in half, and so they're what I call fairly compact. But for me, these really didn't work out so well. I was really excited about it. I thought, oh, I'll use them to walk around the creek and go fishing, but I usually like to wear my trail runners anyway because they're just a little bit better on the rock and so forth when I'm rock hopping on creeks and I'm doing some fly fishing and so forth. So I didn't really end up using the sandals for this. And I just found really 3 things with these. Number one, the bulk. They're a lot bulkier than what I'm used to. And because I use a 40-liter pack, I like my form factor of my gear to be really small to tuck into places. And so you can see the difference between my normal trail shoes, which are the Z-Packs camp shoes, which are pretty minimalistic just for around camp, not for doing anything else, which is all I need the way that I hike, or these. And you can see how these are a little bit bulkier and harder to fit in the pack. And I just ended up hanging these on the outside of my pack, which I do not like to do because I just got tired of fiddling with them and stuffing them in the pack. So form factor was one thing I didn't like about them. The other thing was the strap system. It seems like it would be really secure, but the buckles don't stay buckled sometimes on them. And so they're a little bit more fiddly and they take a while to put on. And again, if you're tired in camp and all I want to do is take off my shoes, slip into shoes, my other camp shoes, Z-Packs, were a lot quicker at that, and I obviously left those behind. The other thing, if you have to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, being fiddly like this, I ended up just slipping my foot into the front strap and then walking with the rest of the sandal just loose at night. That was okay, but it definitely was a trip factor and just wasn't the way they're supposed to be worn, so it didn't feel super comfortable, and I felt like a little bit clumsy in them. And so basically, the fiddle factor with the straps and just like getting out of tent at night to go to the bathroom, it just was like a little bit much, to be honest with you. So I think that the form factor and the fiddle factor of these things really, for me, the way that I backpack, the miles I put in, the amount of time that I spend at camp, what I do at camp, and I just want some camp shoes that let my feet breathe. These were just a little bit much. I can see them though being useful if you're on a really long distance through hike and you have town stops and so forth. These might be worth the bulk. And I'll actually make another video where I kind of compare and contrast use cases where my experience with these 2 shoes, because I think there is a place for this, but maybe not very often in the way that I hike and the way that I like to pack. And so the Jimmy's were not a big winner in my book, and I probably will be staying home most of the time in favor of my Z-Packs camp shoes. So that was the one thing that didn't work out so good. The other thing that didn't work out so good, and I want to be clear about this one, I'm just being kind of honest about how the gear worked and didn't work and maybe failed out there. And there was one thing that failed that kind of surprised me, and that was part of my Z-Packs Nero. I used this 40-liter Nero out on the trail, and it was perfect for my gear. I'm an ultralighter. I focus a lot on form factor, so I'm able to fit my gear and my 450 Bear Can in here as well. One of the things that happened though is there's a Y strap that I bought extra to go over top and to really just cinch down my shelter, which I'll talk about in a minute. And what ended up happening was the toggle attachments that you put on the main pack, it wasn't the main pack that failed. it was the toggle attachments. And I don't know if you can see that or not, but literally this one's starting to tear loose the stitching. And so the buckle is tearing loose for the top Y strap. And on this other side, it actually, during the hike, it actually tore completely loose. And so there's no buckle on this side to attach the Y strap when it comes over top of the backpack. So that's something that failed. I actually love this pack, and it's not going to keep me from using it. I'm going to continue to use it. It's actually one of my favorite packs. It's 11 point something ounces. It fits my gear perfectly. It carries 20 pounds really nice. So I'm not going to give up on this pack at all. But it did fail. And so, or at least the attachment failed. So I did call Z-Packs or contact the Z-Packs through the customer service. And I will tell you this, they were excellent, completely excellent. And that's what I would want to expect out of a small cottage company. I mentioned this in my YouTube channel at one point, but I did have a contract for quite a number of years with an outdoor company developing gear. And so I'm literally really kind of forgiving when it comes to new gear or gear failures, because that happens sometimes in the manufacturing process. It doesn't mean the gear is just completely junk. In this case, I'm going to continue to use my Z-Packs pack, but there was a failure of the gear. And I have contacted companies in the past, not Z-Packs, but other companies, about gear failures, and explained very calmly, because again, I'm used to those things. I understand that gears fails, and I explain what happened, how I was using it, and what failed on it. And sometimes, at times, I haven't gotten any response back from customer service. And I will tell you that when I contacted Z-Packs and sent an email to them, they responded very quickly. They worked through the problem with me. They asked some questions, identified the problem. And at first I thought maybe the pack failed, because I didn't realize they were just the attachments for the Y strap, but because they put them on for me at the factory, because I ordered, or at the company, because I ordered both of them together, the main pack and the attachment piece for the Y strap. And so they realized that the attachment pieces are really what failed, not the real pack, not the actual pack pieces. And so they quickly, within a few days, literally, I had the new toggle attachments here on the end, new buckles, new strap system, everything to put back on the pack. And I just feel like that was a one-off thing, and I don't think I'm going to have an issue with it. So that was the other piece of failed gear, or gear that didn't work out so well on the Rae Lakes Loop. Now, a lot of the gear that I took is tested, and then some of the gear that I took isn't quite tested. And so I'm going to talk about some things that I haven't used quite as much, but went on that trip with me and that really impressed me. So I want to end on a positive note here. And so first off is something a little bit different than gear. It's actually food. And this is a strategy that I talk about in my Rae Lakes Loop video, but in the morning, so that I can just begin hiking right away, I mix 2 packets of breakfast drink. It could be strawberry, vanilla, this one's chocolate. I use 2 packets of the Carnation breakfast drink, and then I put 2 servings of the Carnation instant milk. A lot of times I like Nido because it has a lot of extra vitamins added into the milk, and it's fortified into the powdered milk. So this is powdered milk, and this obviously is a powdered drink mix. So I use 2 of these. 2 servings of milk. I mix it into a small snack bag, a Ziploc snack bag, cut the corner off so I can dump it into my bottle, and then obviously put water in there with it, shake it up, and I've got basically a morning drink that's 420 calories, takes about 5 minutes to put together in the morning, so that I can take advantage of those early morning hiking hours when it's a lot cooler in places like the Sierra where I've been, when it's sometimes very hot even at high altitudes. This time they're having a heat wave, so I was very happy to get like literally an extra 45 minutes to an hour of morning hiking in, because all I did was just mix my breakfast drink and I started drinking, and I really find that it really gives me a lot of good energy in the morning too. So I want to mention that was a real winner on the Rae Lakes Loop. The other thing related to food that was actually, this would surprise me. I've used long-handled titanium spoons for a long time. I've tried, different spoons like bamboo spoons and so forth, and nothing kind of fits into my kit quite right and comfortably. But I got this Human Gear spoon and a fork set, and this is the Human Gear spoon and fork set compacted down. This is extended. So it's not a long-handled spoon, but it's long enough because I repackaged my food in Ziploc freezer bags, like quart Ziploc freezer bags, so I don't need one of those really tall spoons. And what I found with the tall spoon, it's just hard to fit into my cook kit. This one fits into my cook kit, and you can see here I've got it in my cold soaking jar, which I did not cold soak on the Rae Lakes Loop. I actually cook, because I like cooking when I'm in the Sierra. And so, but you can see how compact this thing is, and it even takes apart, you know, you take it completely apart if you want to clean it and so forth. There's not much to it to clean it, and it's just a really handy little compact thing that doesn't use up a lot of room, like in your food bag or in your bear can, trying to find a way to fish in your, you know, your long-handled stiff titanium spoon around your food when you've got like so many days of food packed into your 450 that you can barely put another thing in there. This is perfect. You just throw it in there anywhere and it stays. And so I love this thing. Or you throw it in your pot, your cook pot, or in this case, the cold soaking jar. So that was a huge winner. It's a human gear spoon, and I think I got this one off of like Garage Grown Gear or something like that. So it's awesome. The other winning piece of gear related to cooking, again, weird, related to cooking, was the Platypus quick draw filter. Love it because it always maintains the flow rate. I've been using this for at least 3 years straight. I did try an early version of it. I didn't like it because there were some like imperfections in the one I had, and it just never kind of seemed resolved. And so I switched off of it, and then I went back to it like in the last 3 years, and they corrected the problems I saw in the other one. And now, honestly, this maintains flow rate. It's really easy to use. I've used it in the Sierra many times, in Pennsylvania, all my backpacking trips, in the Winter Highline that I did last year in July. And this thing is a real winner because it maintains flow rate the whole time, and you can back flush it in the field very, very easily. And so it's a huge winner in my book, the Platypus Quick Draw. A newer piece of gear that totally impressed me was the Nemo Elite Tensor Elite. It is a very lightweight sleeping pad. It this one is the short version, mummy short version, 20 inches wide. It comes in at 7.9 ounces without the stuff sack or the pump sack. That's pretty darn incredible. I was really surprised about A, how quiet it is, B, how comfortable it is. I didn't bottom out on it, and I'm pretty short. I'm about 5'5", and I go about 180 to 185. And I did, even on my sleeping on my side, and I flip around a lot when I'm sleeping, even sleeping on my side, my back. I never bottomed out on this thing, and I literally haven't even really. I don't really blow it up like super tight. I like to keep a little bit of give in it, and I didn't bottom out. It's a 2.7 R value, so it's probably like a spring and summer and fall, but maybe not early spring, maybe not late fall sleeping pad. But in the Sierra, one night it got really cold, and I literally got a little bit of ice forming on the inside of the condensation of my water bottle. And even at that, I was perfectly warm with my 20-degree quilt and just like some long sleeve sleeping gear and so forth that I sleep in. And so it really worked well, insulated well for 2.7, and I think it's a real winner. You know, it's really easy to blow up. It just, I can't say enough about it. And it's fairly quiet. I'm not going to say it's super quiet. It's pretty quiet for what it is. And so I really enjoyed this. The other thing that really impressed me was a pair of shorts. I can't believe it, to be honest with you. I cannot believe it. But there's a pair of shorts by Outdoor Vitals that I use. And I think they call it their, I want to say Highline or altitude shorts, hiking shorts. I think it's altitude hiking shorts. Don't quote me on that. It's one of those two things. But I use some pretty cheap shorts, and I always hike in shorts unless it's super cold in the winter, something like that. I typically will hike in shorts. And if I have to, I use some long john, some tights, hiking tights underneath the shorts if it's cold. But these hiking shorts are really impressive, to be honest with you. And I thought I would never, quite honestly, say that about a pair of hiking shorts. I'm one of those people that's like, okay, let me look on Amazon, let me find something that's breathable, that does a really nice job. And I found a brand out there that I really like on Amazon that I use. But these things really are, I'm just going to stick with them, and I'll tell you why. Number one, the stretch factor. They're stretchy here. They got an elastic band. They got a string to tie in the front, but they're stretchy here. They stretch this way a little bit. They stretch this way a little bit. They just got a little bit of give here. And so when you're stepping over logs, when you're climbing up like rock scrambling and stepping up high on boulders or like steps that are built into the trails or something like that, like you just have a lot of mobility in the shorts. That's one thing I noticed. The other thing is really because of the heat in the Sierra this year, it was hotter than I've ever experienced it out there. It really helps to dissipate heat from key areas of your body. And there's actually another like almost like kind of like almost see-through material here along each side of your hips to let heat escape. And then more importantly here where you can sometimes get chafing and sweating right in the crotch area here. You see in that area, you've got a big swath of really breathable material here that does a completely excellent job of keeping you nice and cool and letting you hike without being uncomfortable. That was the one thing that I really noticed about these shorts. And so they are really, truly awesome. They have pockets in the front. So if you're at a water source and you need pockets, you can do that. The pockets, again, have this breathable material inside. And so it does make them very like airy and so you don't like sweat and don't feel confined in your shorts and you can feel like you can move in them. And then the other thing is they got this weird little tiny pocket too inside the right hand pocket. And I don't even know what this pocket is for. What is this pocket for? Change? A pocket watch? I don't know. Outdoor Vitals people, if you're watching this, let me know what that pocket's for. But these shorts are awesome. I can't say enough about them. And these just become my favorite backpacking shorts of all time. And I will continue to use them into the future. And then the last thing I'm going to talk about is a tent. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but the Gossamer Gear Whisper is the tent that I took with me, and I have it right here. I've already done a video, which I'll link below on kind of like my initial thoughts and some of my usage. Now I've used it in the Sierra in a different kind of conditions than I'd use it here in Pennsylvania. I have a little bit more to say about this shelter, and it's good stuff, but there's, like anything, it has like use cases and it has maybe small, I won't even call them pain points, but small bumps in the road that you have to think about when you use a shelter like this. It's basically a tarp style, unique shapes tarp style shelter that's extremely roomy inside and actually has bug netting around the apron, the bottom of the shelter, so that you can keep bugs out, and you can use a Tyvek or some kind of other ground sheet to make a floor in it. And so it is kind of like a tarp style shelter, but I'll talk more about this. And I was impressed with it, but also it gave me other ideas about things to think about when you're using a shelter like this out on a long hike. Last but not least, I have like this, I guess, honorable mention for something that we wear. And I wore these, two things I wore on that hike that got attention from hikers. Like I would say like 50% of the hikers either commented on my red, white, and blue socks, which are darn tough socks. I found a pair of red, white, and blue running darn tough socks, and that's what I wear typically, really lightweight running socks to hike in. And a lot of people really like these socks. The other thing that people really liked is my hat. You can see it right here. And so a lot of folks commented on my hat and the Bible verse that's mentioned on the hat. So at any rate, those are just some fun things. Those are the things that worked really well, things that didn't work so well on that hike. As you can see, a lot of my gear, quite honestly, I've thought about a lot. I've used enough to be comfortable with it and worked out really well. And I just wanted to share some of the ups and downs of my gear while I was on the Rae Lakes Loop. So backpackers, till next time, get out there, do some backpacking, get out there, do some hiking. Stop watching YouTube videos, unless they're mine. Then watch them all from start to finish. Later, backpackers.